Awesome. In our child's pose, we're going to do a little bit of a side stretch. So bring your hands towards the right, so your left hand towards the right hand, and just see if you can scooch your right hand off of the mat, just to feel a stretch in the left side body. And breathing into the left side body. Just a gentle stretch, opening up on the left side. And breathe here. On your next inhale, come back to center. And we're going to go to the left side. So bring the left hand maybe off the mat. Slowly bring your right hand over top of the left hand for a nice deep stretch, or just wherever you feel comfortable. And then sink back down into our extended child's pose toward the left side. Really feeling the stretch on the right side body as you breathe in and out. Slowing down the breath and preparing for today's class. Inhale, come back to center. Come up to have a seat on your heels, little bit of a toe stretch. I do like to flow a little bit in between poses, so there'll be a little bit more movement, but we'll definitely be holding those yin postures, and if you'd like to skip some of the transitions, you're more than welcome to. Alright, so just breathe here. Maybe rolling the shoulders up and back. Maybe finding some gentle neck rolls. And slowly bring your hands towards the front of the mat, preparing for downward facing dog. Slowly bring the knees off to hover, and then slowly reaching the hips to the sky. Find a nice placement for this downward dog as we're going to hold it a little bit longer. If this is hard on your wrists or maybe too intense of a pose to hang out, you can always come down on your knees into puppy. Otherwise, staying in downward facing dog. Pressing the heels gently towards the earth. Releasing tension in the neck. Maybe close your eyes and go inwards. Feeling any sensation, any tingling. Taking one deep breath in and out fully. On your next inhale, slowly look up and step to the top of your mat for our second inversion before coming down. So preparing in your Uttanasana, your forward fold, and just reach the hands, let your fingertips touch the earth. So if bending your knees, is what needs to be done, that's what needs to be done, and just let your head hang over here. We're going to hang out here for a little bit, so just if it's an uncomfortable pose or you're feeling a lot of pressure in the head or you have a slight headache, this might feel counterintuitive, but just focus on breathing and letting out any tension that you're holding on to, maybe in the jaw, the forehead. Release and sink down into this pose. Slowing the breath. Focus on the inhale or the exhale, or focus on your body and the sensations you're feeling. As you inhale calm. As you exhale, release, soften. Feeling your legs, maybe a little shakiness, which is okay. Let's take one more cycle of breath together. Inhale through the nose deeply, and exhale fully, maybe sinking just a little bit lower. Begin to bend your knees all the way down, and we're going to step our legs back into a high plank. Exhale, come down to the belly. And inhale, our cobra pose, Bhujangasana. And wherever our cobra is today, we're going to come into Sphinx by placing our elbows close to where our hands were. For our first full yin posture, countering our forward fold with a chest opening. So just find strength in this pose. If you do have any lower back issues that are coming up right now, you can always come down onto the forehead and take a baby cobra, or using a block to prop yourself up just a little bit. Taking one more cycle of breath. On your next exhale, Bring your forehead down to the ground, resting just for a minute. Forehead to the earth. If our necks are tight, Sphinx pose can be a little bit challenging, so it's good just to release before our next pose. Again, Yin Yoga is all about getting deep into the stretch, holding them longer, and really becoming attuned to listening to our bodies rather than just moving through poses. On your next inhale, coming back up and taking our second child's pose, Utthita Balasana. So just bringing your knees nice and wide and slowly sink down into that child's pose, maybe feeling something new compared to the first child's pose we were in, maybe feeling a deeper stretch in the psoas or in the hips, and just release into this pose. Focusing on your breath. Notice your mind and thoughts. Yin Yoga was always a challenge for me when I first started. Just wanting to move and keep active like my mind. But the more you practice Yin, the more meditative you can become, and just noticing any feelings or emotions of impatience or frustration, and just letting them go rather than attaching to them and making them worse by holding on to them. So any thoughts that come into your mind, just let them go. Acknowledge them, and maybe like a stream, let them pass by. On your next inhale, slowly make yourself come up into tabletop. We're going to extend the right leg nice and long. Toes are tucked on the right foot. And just rock forwards and backwards. And then bring the right knee up towards the right wrist. And swivel the right ankle over towards the left wrist. Now your right ankle might only get up to here, but try and bring it over a little bit closer to the left wrist as we prepare for our sleeping pigeon. Once that feels good, you can slowly let the left leg inch back a little bit, finding that deep sensation, that deep stretch in the right hip. And when you're ready, we can slowly come down. Option to place a prop underneath the right hip, or for the head to rest on, or you can fist your hands together and let that be your rest, or down all the way. And just sink in, breathe into this pose. Try and let your hips be level. Again, notice where you're feeling any sensations. Breathe into those areas, but also notice on what feels nice, what feels good in your body. Bring your attention to these areas too. If pigeon is a very hard pose, I should have mentioned earlier, you can always take supine pigeon, so lying on your back, clasping your right knee and bringing it in, threading the needle. But you can always make variations in the pose. Not coming all the way down is another option. Let's hang out here for 5 more cycles of breath, nice and slow. Inhale, start to bring your hands to connect with the earth. Coming up, look forward like in Sphinx pose. If your left knee is bothering you at all, you can always just lift it up, or you can always fold the mat if you need a little extra cushion. We're going to slowly come back, and with our right foot, we're going to just swing the right ankle over to the side, and we're going to bring the left leg up and forward until we're sitting down with our left leg nice and long like in Dandasana, and our right leg is in Virasana, or hero's pose. So your hips are both trying to connect to the earth, and your right heel is out just a little bit. So half hero's pose. Once you find here, just lengthen through the spine, breathing in and out. If it's at all uncomfortable, you can always just readjust until it feels nice. And then we're slowly going to exhale, coming down onto the elbows. You might stay here or choose to bring a pillow underneath you if coming down all the way feels too much in the right thigh. Otherwise, you can come all the way down into our next yin posture. And our Ardha Supta Virasana, so our half supine hero's pose. Just feeling the sensations in the right thigh. A really nice stretch for the quads. And just breathe. For anyone just joining, we've just started on our right side. We've done pigeon with our right leg, and now we're coming into a stretch on our right leg. Continue to breathe in this posture. Again, if you have any sensitivities in your knee, listening to your body and always feeling free to come out of the pose to where you feel comfortable. Option always If you need help connecting with your breath in these supine postures, you can always place your left hand on your stomach, your right hand on your heart, just to connect a little bit more with the inhale and the exhale, especially if you're feeling that deep stretch and you need a little bit of other places to send the attention. Taking one more deep cycle of breath in and out. On your next inhale, place the elbows down. Slowly start coming up, maybe by rolling over towards the left side. Gently and slowly untuck the right leg. Coming into Dandasana staff pose, so both legs are extended. Maybe just shaking it out a little bit before we move on to the left side, noticing the difference of sensations between the two legs. And then find stillness. Let's cross our legs, coming into tabletop. And we're going to extend the left leg nice and long. Let's rock forwards and backwards just a little bit. This should feel nice in the right hip as well. Maybe walking the hands a little bit forward towards the top of the mat. And then when you feel ready, bring the left knee to the left wrist. Swivel slowly the left ankle towards the right wrist. Notice how it feels different on one side than the other side. Slowly, like a worm, inch your right leg back, seeing if you can come a little bit lower into the pose. Option is always you can stay here. You can always put a prop under your left hip. Or if it feels okay, to come a little bit deeper by dropping down to your elbows, or all the way down onto your forehead, or hands together. Whatever feels comfortable to you. And just sinking in here for a few minutes. Connecting with the breath, the sensations in the body. Almost there. Keep breathing. Noticing the areas that feel a deeper stretch and the areas that don't. Also notice if this side feels a little bit different, or if your pigeons today feel different than your pigeons a few days ago. Our bodies are changing depending on if we're sore or if we've been walking lots or sedentary. We'll notice differences and little changes. and not to put any pressure or judgment on our bodies for its performance today compared to any other day. One more deep cycle of breath in and exhale, letting it all release. On your next inhale it slowly. Come back up. Come to sit towards your left hip and swivel. Bring your right leg all the way out in front into that Dandasana staff pose posture. And the left leg is going to come behind for hero's pose. So your left hip is still connecting with the earth. Hopefully it might be hard to reach that, but that's our goal. And your left heel, you might be able to see it. Again, breathe here. Know that if you have sensitive knees, you can always take variations, or you can come out of the pose as much as you need to. And if you're ready, slowly release down onto the elbows. Again, option to always use a prop here, or come all the way down into supine. Feeling the sensations in the left thigh. Shoulders can be slightly tucked inwards. Eyes can be closed, or a soft gaze towards the ceiling or sky if you're lucky to be outside and not sweating too much in the heat. And just breathe here. Notice if your lower back is really coming off the earth, and see if you can just deepen the stretch a little bit by tucking the pelvis under and seeing if you can bring your lower back just a little bit closer. It doesn't have to touch the earth. And if you feel any intense pains, just come out of it until you feel just that stretch. Release any tension in your face, all the muscles, just release. Inhale, calmness, relax, and on your exhale, soften and release. Maybe bringing your hand to your belly and your chest. Bring the attention into the sensation of the rise and the fall of the stomach. Maybe bringing about an intention of self-love or love and kindness to somebody close to you or yourself. And being grateful for yourself for taking this time. We are going to slowly rotate onto our right sides. Untuck your left leg slowly and carefully. And we're going to find Shavasana. So breathing here, relaxing, You can stay here as long as you want. Thank you for joining today's Yin class. I hope you found the stretches to be useful, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for joining me, and see you next time.